The Supergirl movie has drawn criticism from every direction, good and bad critics alike. And for a while, I almost believed it was just another entry in the same slop we've been served all year. So I took my sweet time, watched it, rewatched it, and gave it the kind of attention I don't usually give a standard review. The conversation around this film ranges from DC is doomed to box office postmortems, and honestly, that noise started to annoy me.
See you, tits.
Because after watching it with lowered expectations, it wasn't nearly as bad as people made it out to be.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
And instead got something genuinely fun to watch. And that's exactly the problem. None of that. The box office, the is DC back discourse is what I actually care about. Because somewhere in all that noise, nobody's asking the one question that actually matters. Did the film do the thing it was supposed to do?
Not a very high bar to clear.
This movie was sold to us as a story about grief and trauma. Whether it's fun isn't the test. Whether it earned that premise is. And that's the conversation nobody's having.
Not my monkeys, not my circus.
So firstly, we will have to acknowledge the masterpiece that this film was supposed to be adapting. It was an 8-issue miniseries written by Tom King, drawn by Bilquis, colored by Matt Lopes, released in 2021. It got nominated for an Eisner. It was a Hugo finalist. And once you read it, that's not surprising. This isn't a typical Supergirl story. It's a character study. Before we go into the main plot of the comic, let's just take in how beautiful this comic looks. The different varieties of alien designs, the different atmosphere in each world, making everything look so distinct. The comic was less action-packed and more of an emotional journey through pain and trauma. And it also shows how to deal with that pain and trauma. An extra reason the action wasn't really the point is that no one stood a chance against Kara. So the fighting took a back seat in the story, while the emotional weight was brought front and center. Kara Zor-El is 21 and essentially miserable. She has Superman's powers, but she doesn't have Superman's life. Kara remembers Krypton. She remembers the people she lost. She remembers an entire civilization disappearing. And then she was sent to Earth, and Kara was left with the memories of a world that nobody around her could truly understand. DC's own description specifically emphasizes this difference. Superman became Earth's greatest hero, while Kara experienced the destruction of Krypton and the loss of virtually everything she knew. So when the story begins, Kara isn't really looking for adventure. Then she meets Ruthie Mary Knoll. Ruthie is an alien girl whose father has been murdered by Krem of the Yellow Hills, a brutal space pirate. And Ruthie wants revenge. She wants Krem dead, and she wants Supergirl to help her. That's where the entire philosophical conflict begins. The one thing that makes the comic stand out even more is this. It wasn't even supposed to be a Supergirl story. It's a Ruthie story. Everything we experience through her eyes. To Ruthie, Supergirl is just a being with great power, a strange way of talking, and surprisingly bright underwear. The first scene of Kara terrorizing Krem after he shot her dog was the perfect show of how the rest of the fights were going to go. In Ruthie's words, Supergirl knew in her heart the perfect truth. No one was stronger than her. Supergirl and Ruthie's relationship becomes the heart of the entire journey. At first, they seem completely different. Kara is a superpowered adult, and Ruthie is a powerless child. Kara has lost an entire planet. Ruthie has lost her father. Kara has immense power. Ruthie has almost none. But emotionally, both believe the universe has taken something from them that can never be replaced. And both are angry. The difference is what they choose to do with that anger. That's the heart of Woman of Tomorrow. Ruthie's philosophy is simple. Krem ruined my life, therefore Krem must suffer. Her desire for revenge is understandable, and Kara understands that better than almost anyone, because Kara has experienced the same kind of loss. That's why Kara doesn't simply say, revenge is wrong. Instead, she accompanies Ruthie and slowly tries to show her something much harder. You can survive what happened to you without allowing what happened to you to define the rest of your life. What I need you to understand here is that Krem in the comic has done even worse things than in the film. Many people tend to say Krem in the film was much worse because of the kidnapping of the little girls. But they forget that in the comics, he kills people when he feels like they've disrespected him, like Ruthie's father. And when he joins the Brigands, he ends up wiping out entire communities of people, sometimes an entire race. This comic takes pain to a whole new level, not just Ruthie's or Kara's, but random citizens of different planets. The anger boiling inside Kara at that time made her fly up in the goddamn sun. So the comic doesn't give us an easy villain where the moral answer is obvious. Instead, Ruthie's revenge becomes a test. Because imagine you actually succeed. You find the person who destroyed your life and you kill him. Then what? Your father is still dead and your trauma hasn't disappeared. The past hasn't been rewritten. You've simply added another corpse to it. And that's the uncomfortable idea at the center of the book. Revenge promises emotional closure that it cannot actually deliver. So the villain slowly moves from Krem to that blind rage and pain that consumes people who seek revenge. Another reason to love this book, and I will suggest you read it if you haven't, is how it portrays the fall of Krypton and why the rage Kara carries is justified. After Krypton collapsed, Kara's father managed to create a dome to protect a few people in Argo City, but the atmosphere slowly turned their soil to kryptonite, and people started dying from the radiation. Kara sought to save her family by using a lead sheet to cover the ground. This was hard labor, and weakened and tired, she was the last one standing after the work was done. But then they suffered a meteor shower that tore the lead open, causing people to start dying again. So in hindsight, she experienced the loss of Krypton 3 times, even after giving everything to save it. It ends with Ruthie finally learning the lesson Kara wanted to teach her, and Krem being sent to the Phantom Zone. So with all of this rundown of the comic, I'm sure you now know what was wrong with the film, especially for those of you who didn't read it. The movie isn't inherently bad as a film, but it is bad as an interpretation of pain and trauma. But before we get to that, remember how we talked about the comic drowning in color? Evely and Matt turning every alien world into its own vibrant, distinct atmosphere? The film throws that out entirely. Cinematographer Rob Hardy made a deliberate choice to trade the comic's dizzying rainbows for a washed-out, lived-in industrial feel, closer to Mad Max than to the source material. But at least the character designs did not suffer that fate. The distinction between each alien in this world is still top-notch. I just wish that same care had gone into the visual representation of the film as a whole. Now let's get back to the plot. The problem shows up immediately, right from the first scene. Instead of having Ruthie's father killed, as if that's not sad enough, the film decides to kill her entire family. But we don't sit with that loss at all. We jump straight to Supergirl partying. That opening was supposed to carry real tension, the kind that snaps the moment Krem kills the first person, something closer to the tavern scene in Inglourious Bastards. Instead, Krem ends up being nothing of a character. There's no edge to his villainy, no real emotion pushing him forward. He's clearly meant to represent someone who enjoys causing pain, but he mostly just comes off as annoying. And the film falls into the same trap so many lazy scripts do. The villain wipes out the hero's entire family and, for no good reason, leaves the hero alive, just so she can get her revenge later. It gets even more uncomfortable once Krem's actual plan is revealed. He's not just killing people, he's kidnapping young girls for breeding. That's messed up, but she is a little girl, is she not? The problem with Supergirl isn't that it made the story darker, it's that it made the suffering bigger without making it hurt. Ruthie doesn't look or act like someone plagued by grief, considering how little time has passed since her family's death. In the comic, Ruthie carries a quiet, simmering anger, the kind that pushes her to swim across a river just to find someone strong enough to kill Krem. In the film, her speech mostly plays for laughs, delivered with the energy of a Girl Scout selling cookies.
To seek revenge against Krem of the Yellow Hills.
The second issue with Ruthie's character is a shift in perspective. The comic is her story, told entirely through her eyes. The film keeps bouncing between her point of view and Kara's, which isn't automatically a problem, except it costs us something specific. Her reactions to Kara's powers are often the best material in the film, and we don't get enough of them. We already know exactly what Kara is capable of, so none of it is new to us. But it should be new to Ruthie, a powerless child watching real power up close for the first time, right after living through the most powerless moment in her life. That reaction is where the wonder should live. Sometimes it seems like the film understands that, especially the scene with the robbers, but overall it always takes a step back and plays safe. Then there's Krypto, and with him, a pacing problem. A dog has been shot and is dying.
I'm thinking I'm back.
The one living reminder of Kara's home and her people, in a film that keeps insisting she hasn't moved on from Krypton. So why does the film move with the pacing of a family road trip? They stop at a bar, sit down, have a big action scene, get an exposition dump about Lobo,
Mortal with a god complex.
and move on. The exposition never lets up either. In that first bar scene, when Kara doesn't want to get involved with Ruthie, the film has her explain her reasoning to us directly instead of just letting us watch her feel it.
I don't have my powers here, right?
In the comic, she forgot about the red sun and bashed a guy's face with a bottle. Then she started bleeding. A comic book for 13-year-olds didn't treat us like morons, but the movie constantly did. The idea that the second bar fight happens because Kara is agitated over Crypto dying is a good instinct, but the agitation itself is never actually felt.
How was that discreet? You broke that man's arm.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay? My dog's dying, so I don't really have the patience that I should have right now.
Throughout the film, everything stays fun, predictable, and the action starts to go numb. The only moments where it's genuinely at its best are when it slows down and lets the characters just be themselves. A little girl furious at the universe for what it's taken from her, and a woman who understands that pain intimately enough that she doesn't judge people for going to extremes because of it. That's why she doesn't blame the family that tries to poison her, and doesn't blame the robbers who try to rob them either. Kara's character had the potential to finally be done right in live action, and it's still salvageable. But this should have been the definitive take. But instead, she's played as a fun, rude, but kind drunk. Her pain is pushed to the background. Her loneliness is told to us instead of shown. The one scene that comes close to capturing it is Kara staring out a window in Metropolis, dreaming of Krypton. Her hopefulness may have ended in Argo City, but her parents' teachings didn't. She doesn't carry Clark's naive optimism, but she shares his core belief in being good. And then, the film drowns all of that in senseless action and Lobo.
Are you calling me a liar? No.
He didn't need to be in this movie at all.
Well, I am.
Krem, on the other hand, could be swapped for a tinfoil cutout, and nobody would notice. Which is a shame, because the premise he was given was genuinely interesting. The film makes him head of the brigands from the start, which simplifies the conflict, but also makes it more disturbing. This isn't generic villain behavior, it's sexual exploitation and the systematic trafficking of young girls. That should completely change the atmosphere of the story. It's a topic we're still confronting in the real world, which makes Krem's crime feel uncomfortably familiar. The movie introduces the idea, but it never sits with it long enough for us to actually feel its ugliness. Everything just keeps moving. And something that should leave the audience deeply unsettled becomes just another bus stop in the adventure. The one place the movie refuses to get wrong is the relationship between Kara and Ruthie. At the start, Ruthie sees Kara almost entirely as a weapon, powerful, capable of finding Krem, able to survive things Ruthie can't. But Kara slowly becomes something more than a bodyguard, and that matters, because Kara isn't in a healthy emotional place either. She's lonely, she's angry, she's carrying her own history of loss. She isn't looking for a child to take care of, she's looking for something to distract her from her own pain. So the relationship becomes reciprocal. Ruthie gives Kara something to care about, and Kara gives Ruthie someone who can teach her how to live with what happened to her. That's a far more interesting dynamic than the standard mentor and student setup. Ruthie needs Kara physically. Kara needs Ruthie emotionally. That's what makes it work, and it pays off at the very end. After everything, Kara invites Ruthie onto her ship, a small, quiet gesture from a woman who, a few days earlier, looked at this same kid and thought,
Not my monkeys, not my circus.
There's no speech, there's no slow motion hug set to swelling music. It's just an invitation. And it lands because the film actually built to it in these small increments instead of announcing it, which is exactly what makes the rest of this video so frustrating. This proves the filmmakers knew how to do quiet, earned emotional work. They did it here. They just didn't bring that same patience to the grief itself. Instead, they played the safe game. That contrast between Kara and Superman is one of the most interesting parts of Woman of Tomorrow, because it isn't really saying that one of them is good and the other is cynical. They simply understand people differently. The line about Superman seeing the good in everyone while Kara sees the truth gets right to the difference between them. Clark believes in what people can become. Kara is more concerned with what people actually are. Superman encounters someone terrible, and his instinct is often to look for the possibility of redemption.
Not too late for either of you.
He believes people are capable of becoming better than their worst actions. That's fundamental to his worldview. Kara doesn't have that luxury. She's seen too much. So when she looks at someone like Krem, she isn't interested in imagining the person he could be. She's looking at what he's actually done. And that distinction becomes especially important with Ruthie. She knows there are moments where telling someone to forgive sounds almost insulting when the wound is still fresh. The film keeps this idea intact, even if it doesn't build to it. And you can see why it matters most in the one place the movie chose to deviate hardest from its source: the ending. Kara kills Krem. And I actually like that. I'm tired of the revenge is bad sentiment, especially for Kara's arc specifically. But Kara isn't killing Krem because she suddenly believes murder is justice. She's killing him because she understands exactly what revenge would do to Ruthie. Ruthie wants Krem dead because she believes killing him will settle the pain inside her. But she's already carrying that pain. She's already lived with the anger, the grief, the emptiness. So when Kara kills Krem, there's almost a sense that she's saying, you don't have to carry this too. She's willing to take the moral burden onto herself. Ruthie wanted revenge, and Kara gives her the outcome, but refuses to let Ruthie become the person who has to live with having done it. That's very different from Superman's philosophy. Superman sees the good in people because he believes humanity can rise above its worst instincts. Supergirl sees the truth because she knows what happens when those instincts actually destroy someone's life. Neither perspective invalidates the other. Clark gives people hope. Kara gives people understanding. The biggest problem with the rushed pacing is that it doesn't give any of this enough time to develop emotionally. Kara and Ruthie's relationship is one of the strongest parts of the film, but their bond needs room to breathe. The quiet conversations, the small arguments, the moment where Ruthie stops seeing Kara as a weapon for her revenge and starts seeing her as someone she actually trusts. The same goes for Kara's loss of Krypton. These moments need emotional preparation. Kara needs to struggle with Ruthie's hunger for revenge as much as she struggles with her own grief over Krypton. Ruthie needs time to become consumed by it. And Kara needs time to arrive at the realization that she can't erase Ruthie's pain any more than she can erase her own, but she can keep her from carrying the worst part of it. The film has all of these ideas. It just keeps accelerating through them. Instead of feeling like we've lived through a painful journey alongside Kara and Ruthie, it can feel like we've simply watched them move through a series of increasingly dramatic events. So where does that leave us? Supergirl isn't a bad movie. As pure entertainment, the jokes, the action, Millie Alcock's performance, Jason Momoa clearly having the time of his life, it mostly works. That's not nothing. But somewhere in the noise of is DC back and box office postmortems, we skipped past the only question that actually mattered for a film built on this specific source material. Did it earn the thing it promised? It didn't. Not because the ideas weren't there. Every dial was turned up higher than the comic ever dared. But turning up the stakes isn't the same as sitting in them. The comic gave you 3 days of a woman falling apart before it let her come back together. The film wanted the coming back together without the falling apart. And that's why Fun Watch is the review that should worry you, not comfort you. A story about grief isn't supposed to be fun. It's supposed to cost you something on the way out. This one didn't. And that's the whole story right there, told in one sentence. The movie was missing the thing it was supposed to be about.